Gotcha.
We're back. Back on this bucket of bolts. Another project that will never get finished. Doing a lot of moving around the shop lately. We're bouncing from project to project, and I had not worked on this bug in quite a bit. Do you remember the last time I worked on it?
When we did the live and you did the taillights.
That's right.
That was like 2 weeks ago.
Seemed like last year. We're going to work on getting this rear portion in place. It's really rough, really raw, and by moving the car and yanking the engine, I'm sure it's out of position from where it should be. So today, we're going to explore the possibilities. We're going to mount the rear end. Just before I pulled the engine out, I got these little sticks in place. They're obviously not staying there because they're going to drag all over should we drive the car. So this is just sheet metal floating in space. So a lot's happened. Lifting up the car, I bumped the Jeep into it, the roof shifted. I mean, that's just par for the course. So see how low the roof came here? It's missing its landing point by a good inch. So I don't know if the fender's high or the roof fell down low. I mean, nothing's attached, so anything's possible. What I'm doing now, we did this for the original layout of the fenders. I'm gonna set this envisioning tool in place, and we're just gonna take a look at the level of the fender straight through and just see. The most important thing is this plane parallel. So we're going to take a step back and we're going to look. We don't want it touching the car because we don't want any interference. The whole business I'm aiming for is getting a solid mount on the underside. If you see the VW, doesn't have a chassis like the Zephyr or American car, for instance. The engine is hanging back on its own. The body used to come back for like the little pan and the deck lid, so there was never any kind of true chassis back here. The stamped sheet metal body came rearward. So looking at those fenders, they do look parallel. You know, I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at this. Looking at the roof, it looks like the roof did come down. It's coming down here. So that's good news. So those sticks, the little legs I put on it are true to form. That's all I needed to see. Now let's figure out how to get this thing connected. I wonder. No, it's fairly rigid. It's stuck. I was wondering if maybe it moved this way when it got bumped. But I don't think so. Yeah, so there's a lot of grease and grime in there. Let's see what we can work with. This should be interesting. This all has to come apart in the end mechanically. So we need to get the transaxle out. And that's where this mount is with these two large bolts right here. That's how you get the trans out. You'll pull that, this little cradle is removable. And then this should be able to slip down under the car. But the way I'm thinking about creating a mount for this, I don't want that to interfere with the removal potential of the transaxle. So maybe we'll create a bolt flange from here. You know, what I'm aiming for is to, see, this is steel, even though it looks like a big piece of garbage. I can clean all that off. We could weld something to this, have it come rearward and unbolt so that this piece will be this big now and it'll remove from the car should we need, or when we need to take out the transaxle. We know that the engine doesn't hang any lower than this point here, so we can come underneath, and we just don't want to block access to the drain hole for the oil. So let me get a scraper and a measurer. Let's see if we can't build something. So both sides. Uh-oh. Gonna throw the wire wheel on that too, so we get the majority of the crust off.
Is that mud or what is that?
Oil and dust and dirt. Volkswagens are notorious in this area. You can see this thing here. Mm-hmm. It's a rubber boot. Mm-hmm. So when your axle moves, this flexes, holds oil in the transaxle. Notoriously, they get dry rotted, crack, the oil starts to seep, the car's driving, the wind's blowing, the dust is collecting. It goes over and over and over. As a notorious filth in Volkswagens, old age cars that people don't look underneath. Now, all of us enthusiasts know better, don't we? Mm-hmm. Oh, back in the day, this 68 Bug, these things were a dime a dozen. Nobody cared about maintaining them, except the people that really liked them. They just drive these things into the ground. Cool. So here, I left this going wild. This is a little bit out. And I was noticing in my preliminary measurements prior to the film date, I didn't see this, but I measured down here, and this side is way up. This side's like almost an inch taller. And you know why I think it's an inch taller?
Why?
Because that front tire habitually goes flat. So when that side of the car was low, I measured.
Oh no.
So I'm gonna have to bring this up.
I'm noticing a theme with those of you that build cars and work on old cars. You forget that the tire is flat, and then it messes up all the measurements.
So this was on jack stands for all those episodes we were working on other cars. So I got this thing leveled. I got some braces, some blocks under the floor pan. So that's 100%. And I'm like, why? I cut that, not thinking, obviously. I'm not even, I have no excuses. I did it wrong. So we are at about 5 3/4 right here. And on this side, we're at 5 1/2. So it's a 1/4 inch difference.
I would say, honestly, from here, you can see the difference, but it's not way, way off.
It's a 1/4 inch.
Yeah.
So, all right. So that's not terrible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zing a 1/4 inch off this real quick, and then we're going to create a crossbar, because not only do we want this parallel, we want the bottoms parallel with the ground. And for me, the easiest way is to throw a straight shot across and weld it in, and then we'll cut the center out later. So I know, sounds a little complex, bear with me. So right here, we're just going to come up 5 3/4, right there. We're just going to chop that right off. From here, we're going to go the same. So not a huge discrepancy, but yeah, check your tire pressure. If the car's not on blocks, it matters. All right, let me zing through that. We'll get on with it. I wanted to say one thing about the way I was using the grinder in that, because I do get a lot of compliments about the death wheel and the lack of the guard and how dangerous it is. See, with this small disc, I was running the tool like here. That is causing the sparks to shoot under the car away from me. And I always recommend cutting like that, because if this blade catches, it's going to push it out of the material. You saw a very dangerous arrangement on the final cut. The battery of this was really in the way, and this is where you get into trouble. I was forcing the tool, and I know enough to not get into that trouble, but in here, if that caught, it would have pushed this under the car, causing this to twist, causing that to break, causing it to fly right into your mouth. Be careful. Trained professional, do not try this at home. A little word of caution. are looking in here, before the rusty part of the Model A fender curves, we're at about 5'4". I'm gonna cut this little piece off and trim a little bit more, and we're gonna cut a section to cross over. Victor was so kind to bring us a restock of material.
He brought you a lot of
The
stuff.
choice is, what do we want to use? Got so many options now. I don't know if he cut them into 5-foot pieces, because I said 5'4". But if they're 5 foot, we could use that too. They are 5 feet. So, I don't know if we need a tube this big. My only thing regarding the choice would be like its strength and its weight. So, we got that. Oh, look at these. That's the number right there. Perfect. A little baby tube. Put that right across the bottom. 5 feet it is. Okay, so that looks cool there. I'm gonna put a soft clamp on this, just because we don't need to bend this metal at all. Just hold this in place, and I'll check it. Yeah, now this looks nice. Yeah, cool. I like it. If you see, I don't know if you can see, my microphone is magneting to the car.
Uh-oh.
Oh, there it is. Perfect right there. Sweet. These clamps are, I say soft clamp, but it's just not as powerful as the big vice grips. Okay, cool. So we'll finish off this with another piece, but this is a good span. It's keeping these two parallel. I'm going to weld this in. So this is cool because this structure, that round solid, is connecting right to this. Very strong. One of the benefits of all that crust and oil covering the metal is it doesn't rust. It's pristine. That's good for us. This is the unsung part of the fabrication. Not a lot of glory in being under the car and doing all this business, but it's a necessity. So I'm gonna blow this out of the way with air. So what I'm seeing clearly right now is a height difference. You know, this is up here and this is down here. So maybe we'll drop down. See, this is a good solid piece to weld to. And then we can bolt on somewhere through here, I believe. Or, now that those are parallel, maybe we want this to come out and down and hit right here. That would be pretty clean. A lot of room under the engine. We're gonna need something strong to do that. Let's just think about this for a second. Are our tires going to be in the way? We got our spring plate here, so no. We're probably just attached just inside of this. We'll triangulate there. So I was thinking if this bracket came out and the tires were on, then you're in big trouble. So that's not the case. Yeah, let's do that. Let's look for the material. Obviously a 5-foot piece would be enough, but we want it strong enough to support the whole back of this car. I know we got 1.25 inch tube. I just don't know if that's total overkill. Let's take a look. We got this material. That's very strong. Very strong for what we're trying to accomplish. Yeah, and I can weld it right under there. I like that. That will totally secure it. So from there to there is 6 inches. And on this side, 7. This is like that. I'm gonna cheat it just a little bit. Yeah, I could see it on this bar right here. With this being here, looking down. Okay. Yeah, I'll just have to shift it a little bit like that. Cool. So we're going to want to land this about 40 inches apart. And again, on this center, we're coming from here. We're gonna go top 7.5 straight through. Cool. 40 inches. Let's lay this out on the table and discuss. Because if you don't have a good pile of stuff to reference, I don't know. Everybody works different. This is how I like it. So, we got a square somewhere in this jumbled heap of potential. 7 inches. Well, we're at 7.5 by 40. So this is it's only a 6-inch square. Let's do this. We got 7, and we'll do 6 too. All right, so this is 40. This is 48 inches, so it's more than we need. So we're gonna center that. 24. Do one more line here. All right, so we were saying we wanted it 40 inches wide. So at the center, right there. So let's go 20 and 40. Bring that up to here. Oops, that's the center. There it is. So we want it this wide and that long. So how wide is the center? This piece is 15. So you want it. So here's the question. What would be stronger? If we had, because our piece is coming left to right in the car, what's stronger, a hard angle like that straight down, or would it be a V be better? I don't think it really matters, as long as we have 15 in the center. Let's try this, off the center, let's go 7.5, and we'll go to 15. So what I'm getting at, I don't know how well the marker is representing, but we need to come, this is your engine right in this area, right between here. And then the fender mounting is out here, the marker. I use chalk a lot in the TV show, but we got so many markers. So the idea illustrating right here, would it be stronger to have this, just a hard cut, or could we do something like that? I don't know, but let's find out. Let's find the center of this. We're gonna put see the little line on the tube where it's welded together? Mm-hmm. That's the definite top. That way we know we're making our measurements. on the same side. That's an inch short of 6 feet. So that's a ½ inch short. It's 2'5". 2'5". No, what am I saying? Not 2'5". Half inch, 35.5. My mistake. Yeah, 35.5, 35.5. That's our center. Right there. So we want 15 on each side of that. So if I'm correct, we're gonna go 7.5 and 15. And this is thin enough. I think we'll put this, we'll do this with the hand bender. We're going to want to wrap and wrap. Now, how much is enough? We don't know yet. Let's find out. I'll put that in the tool right there. That intersection with this facing out. And I don't know how much we want to bend. Let's just pull this straight up. Let's see where we're at. So here's our center. That brings us way past. So we're gonna need it much tighter than that. That brings us way out into the fender. Why does it seem... No, this is our center. Look, it's perfect. I was like, wait a second, that seems like way off. Like, I got a pretty good eye about things. So this is our 40-inch mark here. So we're inside of it, and that's cool. So let's do the same. Why doesn't this look right? We got 20, yeah, 20. Okay, now we're cool. Everything's lined up. Nobody get nervous. Everything's cool.
I'm over here shaking in my boots.
Everybody's shaking in their boots. This is a big deal.
Sweating bullets.
All right, so let's reverse that engineering onto this side. Boom. We have that line right there at that intersection. Now we want these two parallel. We want this and this parallel. That's going to make it all count. Check that. Highly esoteric. Any EMT bender, not an emergency medical technician, an electrometal tubing bender.
I was like, I've never seen an EMT bend metal, but
Unless the EMT was an electrician and an emergency medical technician.
They were EMT squared.
All right, let's align our marks. Let's put everything into conjunction. A little in, look at that. That's our outsides. That's our insides.
Gorgeous.
Gorgeous. All right, so let's put this under the car and see how we're gonna join these two. I'm actually gonna crawl under there off camera and clean the rest of that oily mess out because we gotta go under that bracket.
I was just telling Ian that it's just crazy to see all that steel come in the shop and then it gets used like this. I don't know, it's just amazing to me. And I said it's like fabric and making clothes. And then Ian said,
that's why it's called fabricating.
and I said, touche, Mr. Roussel. Touche. Anyway.
Part of our stand-up routine will be appearing at the Mojave Community Center weeknights from 5 to 5:15 p.m.
No, 4 to 5. We're early birds.
All right, so we got this centered up on that bracket. I got that bracket all cleaned up. It's looking like $1,000,000. Now I got that centered. Yeah, and then this is gonna come in right there. That's gonna be L for driver side. Here in the States, in the US of America. That's R for right-hand drive. For everyone else. It's getting complicated. It's just like yesterday in the Zephyr, crawling in and out of bracketry. I'm gonna cut this with the disc on the table. I'll be right back. All right, I like this. So we're not gonna weld here. That's gonna be a different occasion. Actually, maybe I will just tack it to hold it on because that's gonna get cut off. I'm gonna tack it right there. Move this over a little bit. Put a light tack right here. And a tack here. All right. So two things. I don't want this tube to twist under the weight. So we're gonna bring a vertical piece up here to help with that. Let me grab something. And then secondly, we're going to want these ends to bolt on. We want this piece to unbolt from this piece because this is gonna get cut out in the center. That tack is gonna go away. We have a bracket right here. Let's do the twist first, then we'll do the bolt. Yeah, that looks cool. Because if we just put a flat piece, it's going to be able to deform a bit. So the angle is going to grab that engine mount and push out its strength onto the tube. Yeah, I like that. So let's just check 2 times at what height. Do 2 of those on the saw. I think in another episode, we're going to do a little saw tune-up session. We were talking about that yesterday. Because this thing, it works so awesome, but, you know, this is going on 20 years of hard use. And I've never put oil in it. Look, it's all leaked out. So I was thinking, you know, those gears are definitely well meshed. They're all shined up. They're work hardened. So probably don't need like a light oil in there. I'm sure almost like a heavy grease. It wouldn't seep out as much. And a new blade. We'll tighten the belt. You know, the guard is all off. It's just an old piece. Fell over once. Did I tell you about that story?
You might have.
We had a driveway coming out of one of our shops years ago, and it ramped off really steep. So this was up like this, which makes it very top heavy. It flipped over, hit the engine guard, and then broke the chassis. See how I bolted that thing back together? This is cast iron. It cracked it right in half. So I put it back together, drilled and tapped it. It's been good ever since. See, it broke the wheel off. So it used to be a tightening wheel. Again, strength-wise, we got options. How would we want to put, ooh, that looks pretty strong too. What would be the strongest arrangement? I think that for the twist. Because we don't want this to push down, right? So this is gonna grab that, it's gonna lock on. That's what we're gonna do, 2 times, just like that.
Your car's on fire.
Oh. Aha! That's gonna smell awesome. thing is, there's only so much grease. It goes away. Yeah, I worked at a deli once, Italian deli. Used to make these giant roast beefs. Big roast beefs. And more than once, there would be maybe 4 or 6 of these things in the oven. The whole oven would catch on fire. My naive self, open the door, whoa! The boss is like, shut that thing. Shut off the heat, shut off everything, shut the door, turn on the fans. Fire goes out.
And that's how you get nice crispy on the outside and juicy on the inside.
That's why I weighed 300 pounds when I was 19 years old.
Aww.
Roast beefs were like 10 pounds. Just take the knife. Right now, everybody's like, except the vegetarians. All right, so let's create a bolt plate. We're gonna need 2. Options. I think a nice little triangle shape right in here, from maybe there to there, with 2 bolts. Man, they are flying today. They're all over the place out there. Get a piece of paper. So the angle of our dangle is somewhere in this realm. We'd like to come at least here with it. There. So we might cut the 1/8 inch plate, I think. Let's see if these 2 sides are the same. We got that, that's nice. Yeah, identical. But we don't really need that. I'm way overthinking this. It's under the car, you're never gonna see it, but it's gonna be strong. So we got this plate here. It's just a little bit less. So yeah, let's cut these. Let's cut 4 pieces that long. I transferred that paper template to steel. Now I'm setting up a series of bolt holes, making 4 plates that are all the same. So I stack them like that, so that all the bolt holes are even, and all the shapes are cut the same. What I've created in that flurry of activity are 2, let's see, it'll go in like that. 2 separate bolted together plates. So see the 1/8 inch plate on top and bottom. So the idea being with the bolt connection, see right now it's welded. So the whole, to get this transaxle out, as I mentioned, it's gonna have to drop through here. So all this is in the way. So this, the top one will be welded to here, and the bottom one will be welded to here. So once this is cut free, these will split. So these bolts come out, and then this whole piece drops out. Dig it? Might not be.
Comment if you do or if you don't. My comment is I don't understand, but.
Okay, let's review. So it'll be more clear once this is cut away.
Right.
This won't be here. So right now, see, this is welded to the car. So if you have to take this out, then it's still attached to the car here. It's welded here. So it's gonna unbolt from the car here, and it's gonna unbolt from the car here. So this removes so that this can come out. Just thinking ahead. So see, that goes right there. Top and bottom. I'll probably just do that. That way I can access it better.
So you're going to weld the metal, like just the top?
This tube here only welds to the top plate here. And this tube here only welds to the bottom plate here.
So you're going to weld one at a time?
Correct.
Ah, okay. I think that's what was messing me up, is that they're together like that. I thought you were welding them in together. Right.
So they're together like this. So it's a perfect meetup. You got a 3-bolt flange. That big flat plate, the twist factor I was mentioning, that ain't going nowhere.
Def makes more sense.
So see what I'm doing? I'm only welding here on the top plate. And I'm only welding the other side on the bottom plate. I'm gonna take this whole contraption away. I think we're good. I need to get in there. So this weld is only on the underside.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that works. All right, so next thing you would think would be to cut that center out, but no, not just yet. We want a little more strength through here. We want a little triangulation. So we're gonna cut through here with the disc to remove that weld, but I want this point here to come up to here with a straight solid rod, both sides. That's going to add a little bit of triangulation because now you have that potential, especially once this is removed. So this, see, this is just a flag hanging out in space now, right? So if this comes through and triangulates, you got 2 times the grab on that little piece. All right, so it's a big moment. Let's cut this whole thing apart. We got this structure here that's eliminating the twist potential of this tube. And then we've got all this triangulation that's going to stop this rear end from shimmying. Probably going to be a little bit more connectivity back here once we get to it, but the car is going to get raised way up. But if we can get these sticks off the ground and that center out, we're good. Drum roll, please. Somebody asked why I was putting these discs on the grinder with the label facing one way versus the other. I don't think it matters. I don't see any arrow of direction on this disc. So if anybody knows better than me, they did bring up the point that if I was to push on this surface, you could potentially grind with that as opposed to like this, which is smooth, but you're not supposed to put any force on these. They're purely this. So if anybody has any input onto that, why you would need to use it one way or another. Is it advertising? Because you can see the label? I don't know. What am I going to do with this? I'm cutting. This is another thing. If you're cutting apart a fabricated piece like this, there's going to be tension in it. Beware. The wheel of death. It's all in place. Look at that. Secure. So again, not a lot of glamour in this part of the operation. Definitely a necessity. That means it's necessary. So that's about it. Got one rear structure for the bug begun. A lot more to attach. We're gonna raise the car way up at this point. Remember, the engine comes out through the top, and the transaxle could actually come out right through here as well, but see now this piece, 1, 2, 5, 8 bolts. This piece comes out. Thank you, and good night.